Welcome to the Unpackers, the podcast of two boomers exploring the world of trading and investing, aiming for financial freedom and to make their kids proud. Join them on their mission.
Welcome to the Unpackers podcast.
The manipulative part, the dark side, is really that...
You're talking about the global regulation.
Yeah, what's really interesting there is that
Could you say smart money is dirty money as well?
we have, of course, an algorithmic, or to say, software company.
Welcome to the Unpackers podcast. My name is Bart and I'm a trader on the path to success. And my goal is to buy my son a ticket to an FC Barcelona game, all paid for by my trading profits.
Hi there, my name is Ilko and I'm a data-driven trader. I'm always looking for the perfect setup.
My name is Jip Molenaar. Bart and Ilko call me the Gen Z Moonboy, and I'm here to help them make their families proud and rich.
And today we have with us a guest who's here for the second time already. He is Chief Investment Officer at HODL and co-founder of Reform DAO. And above all, he's a man on a mission in this space. I'm very curious what that mission is. Welcome, Jess, to the studio.
Thank you very much, Bart. It's a pleasure to be here again and to discuss this interesting topic.
Absolutely. Yeah, what is your mission in this space?
Well, it's we can make it very long or very short, but I'll try to keep it a bit short. But the mission, especially what I'm currently working on for Reform, is to change the market-making industry, to actually reshape it, or, well, as the name says it, reform it.
Yeah, I'm very curious to hear what needs to be reformed, obviously. But let's take a little step back. It's called Reform DAO, obviously. And I've tried to explain DAO at the kitchen table. It didn't really work very well. But my take on it was basically that it is a structure of a company, but then in the Web3 space, made possible by the technology and the principles of the Web3 space. But it's not exactly the same as a company in, let's say, an old-fashioned world. How would you explain it, what a DAO is?
Yeah, I think you are on the right path. You have a lot of tools in the Web3 space that create an organization, but then in a decentralized way. So you have, instead of shareholders, in this case, you have people who hold the token and who have like voting power to decide upon what is going to happen with the capital. Are they going to make investments in specific investment opportunities, or any other voting possibilities? For example, in Reform, voting on how much of the realized profits is going to buybacks, for example. Like those kind of things, I think that's the essence of a DAO, whereby it's an organization owned by the token holders. So that's also how we made our legal structure. And then, they can vote and decide upon what is going to happen with what is in the DAO.
And people working in the DAO, they are not called employees of the DAO or contributors?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we call them like the people who work on a day-to-day basis are the contributors, and the people who are like managing everything together is like the core contributors.
And of course, you're wearing two caps. Is it the same for all the contributors in the DAO? Are they all employees as well from HODL, or are there different people contributing to the mission?
No, it's actually completely different. So there are some people that, from HODL, I have an overlap with also in Reform. But Reform actually is a worldwide company or organization, DAO, whereby a lot of people are involved. So we have people ranging from, Dubai to Turkey to India to, it's Thailand even. So it's like, worldwide spread. And I think that's also, in my honest opinion, how the future of like companies and like organizations is going to look like. And then in this case, especially a DAO.
And to the people that don't know yet, what is Reform and what's the mission of Reform?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So Reform is a market-making and liquidity-providing DAO. It means that what we're doing is, to make it very easy, is we're the other player in the trading environment. So whenever you're trading on an exchange or on a centralized exchange or on a decentralized exchange, you're always trading against someone else. 80%, 90%, 70%, whatever. Like you're trading against the market maker who is actually filling up those books for you to be able to trade. And the rest, is organic, but
in order to get filled at the best possible price.
To get filled at the best possible price, because otherwise there will be a lot of slippage and prices will go everywhere. And that's where market makers actually are for.
So when I buy, I'm not buying from Ilko or Bart, but the probabilities are very high that I'm buying from you guys.
Yeah, exactly. The probability is very high that you're buying from us or another market maker.
It's funny because many people think that when we talk about market makers, we are always talking about the people that are like determining what is happening to the market, or the people that determine the moves in the market, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you really truly look at the meaning of a market maker, it's just so completely different compared to what most people think a market maker is. And that is why I think today is a super interesting conversation, because I think 99% of the people, when they talk about market makers, they don't even know who market makers are, what they do, and why they are in the space, you know?
Because it's never been transparent.
Yeah, it is not
We
a
hope to
very-
hear a different story.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the
well,
goal of today's
that's
episode.
what I'm here for, right?
But what you say, Jip, is actually I've got, when preparing for the podcast, I stumbled exactly into that point that you're making now.
Mhm.
People in the market perceive, including myself as well, that market makers are those parties who can drive price towards a certain area. It seems that everyone is talking about market makers as such, but is that correct that there are two parties or two different definitions for that?
To be fair, market making or market makers have actually one really like definition, and that's that they provide liquidity, or like, you know, make sure that other people can trade in the market. Like market makers, in essence, do not move the price anywhere. They should not move the price anywhere. It happens because market makers are
I was
the biggest,
about to say.
yeah, because market makers are the biggest players in the space, and that's also why we think it's a, you know, something that is happening behind closed doors, and closed doors where the biggest money is actually being made.
Right. Yeah.
So that's actually a very, you know, interesting conversation to have, because if you have all this capital, then it's also easy to move the market, and that's, you know, what they do. They see a big liquidation, level, and they think, oh yeah, well, we can make a lot of money there. Even like exchanges as well. They can move prices to specific levels, even though not everyone knows if that's the case. But someone has to do it, right?
Yeah, but it's a lack of transparency that let us think our own way. And there's a kind of certainty that they do what you just told.
Yeah.
Manipulating the market.
Yeah, I think what Bart was also talking and referencing to is the fact that when we talk about like the people that are determining what is happening to the market, so determining whether Bitcoin is going up or down or whatever, a lot of people always refer to market
Exactly.
makers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's also
it.
one of the reasons why I'm 99% of the time talking about smart money, because I do feel like that smart money and market makers are two completely different things. Also because I know you guys now for a while, and I just feel like I do know the meaning of a market maker. And I do think that market makers do also thrive in environments where a lot of liquidations happen, where a lot of volatility happens, which is basically also similar as smart money, because they also thrive in areas where a lot of liquidations happen and a lot of liquidity is available. So I would kind of say that they are actually working together, maybe, because market makers thrive in liquidity environments where there's a lot of liquidations happening, a lot of people getting stopped out, a lot of people searching to fill their orders, and who want to fill those orders in those big liquidity pools. It's smart money. So they basically use those market makers to make sure they get filled at the best possible price. And those are the kind of guys that actually are on the right side of the market most of the time. They don't necessarily always determine what is happening to the market, because also those guys, they're not right 100% of the time. They also work with invalidations, etc., etc. It's part of the game. But those are the guys that most of the time are on the right side. And I do think there's a big difference between market makers and smart money. But I do feel like they do thrive in similar environments. But I feel like you have a lot more knowledge about that than I do.
I think it's actually a very good point. Like, market makers thrive in volatile environments, because that means that there's a lack of liquidity. And when there's a lack of liquidity, well, price tends to go everywhere. And then it means that, you can earn a lot of money on, they call it the spread. And that's actually the difference between the bid and the ask in the order book. And that's actually where market makers, generally speaking, make the money. But if there's a lot of volatility and the price goes everywhere and there's not a lot of liquidity in the books, that means that the spread is very broad, and that you can earn maybe like, I don't know, on Bitcoin, for example, I saw lately that with the last drop, there were differences on exchanges of like $500 to $1,000 in difference in prices.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that means that it's super illiquid, because it's going everywhere, and the arbitrage opportunities are also everywhere. And that's the environments where indeed market makers thrive.
Something is broken, something is dirty, nasty. You say smart money, But could you say smart money is dirty money as well, or smart money has
No, I
dirty
feel
players
like
behind it?
I know what you're pointing towards, but it's something different. The dirtiness, so called in market making, is not necessarily that they help fill smart money's orders or anything like that. The dark side of market making is more, and once again, the guy next to me knows a lot more about this than I do, but we do speak a lot and we do know each other for a while now. And I also know obviously a lot about the project Reform. The dark side of market making is more towards the deals that they close with certain projects, if I'm right.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly said. So, the market making that we were just talking about is about the general market. So it's about, Bitcoin, Ethereum, like those do not have a specific market maker who is appointed to do the market making for them, because it's just already a organically traded asset. It's too big. So a lot of market makers are actually competing on that front. But what Jip is referring to, I think that's a very good point. The manipulative part and like the dark side is really that a lot of projects who go to the market who are already on the market need to work with a market maker, because the exchanges, the centralized exchanges, oblige them to, and even have specific requirements when it comes to how deep the liquidity in the books need to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how much liquidity there needs to be. And that's then the exchanges who have specific requirements and the market makers who need to be hired by the projects to actually fulfill that. But in that process, like the deal structuring, but also fulfilling the KPIs that are, agreed upon with the market makers, or like the strategic decisions, or all those kind of things, that's really where the dirtiness, let's say, starts. And I think that's, perfectly said by you. That's the side of market making that, caught our attention and why we actually started Reform DAO.
Yeah, and there's a YouTube clip on your channel. You mentioned wash trading and artificial volumes there as, some of the things that are broken. But that's not what you referred to just now, right? These are additional things that need to be repaired.
Yeah, like wash trading is also a common thing on like a lot of exchanges. It means, parties are generating fake volume. They're just trading against themselves and then generating volume to showcase and to give people an idea of a lot of activity. So that's done for projects as well as for exchanges, because exchanges want to have a lot of volume to showcase, hey, we're the biggest exchange with the most volume. And projects want to have that to showcase, like, hey, we have a lot of traders trading our project.
But is everyone in it?
Sorry?
Is everyone in it? What you're just mentioning?
A lot of, I would say like the bigger parties are most likely also doing it, but they are, the bigger parties. So you think it's all organic, but it's also, for a lot of projects, a lot of exchanges, like they're doing this,
They're big through manipulation.
Well, I think, the bigger
sort
ones.
of.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it is part of. Well, how do you say that? It's a visual. It's a visual thing. Like people think something is big and good when it has a lot of.
Yeah, sure.
It's like fugazi. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Marketing,
and it's also. I'm not saying that everything is like that, but it's more like there is a dark side that's actually showcasing that wash trading and like the fake volume is actually influencing. I wouldn't say influencing the market, but more like giving an optic. Yeah.
Illusion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
really toxic. And to the people that don't know what is wash trading and how can they afford to wash trade, because I kind of know what it is, but wouldn't they end up in a loss if they would just trade against themselves and open and close trades all the time just to generate volume, but kind of fake volume? Or do they like win on small margins and that way play break even?
No, you lose money.
But they get paid by the exchange and the project.
Also not. It's just a sacrifice that they make to
lure in some customers.
Yeah, to have fake volume.
Crazy.
Check, for example, when you're trading a specific asset, and check, for example, the volume bars, how they're looking. If it's like always on the same level.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, you can get an idea of what's happening.
I'm gonna ask you for the shittiest market makers after this episode, so I never buy any one of their projects.
We keep the microphones open, so that's okay. No
I'm also super curious, like, what do those kind of deals look like if they are like the dark side deals?
Yeah.
Do you have any examples?
I think a very good example is that, it's not per se a contract or how it's structured, but a very good example that happened recently is, for example, I can say the names, like, for example, Godbit and CLS. They got accused by the SEC for wash trading and also providing specific proposals that gave the intention of market manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's
right.
in essentially not what market makers do. They don't say, I'm going to bring your price up there and then get it there and then, let it go up there. That's not what market makers do. Market makers fill the books so that other people can trade it efficiently. What I saw in the documentation that the SEC brought out was actually that, they literally did that. They said where price would go, but also we're generating an X amount of volume for you and all those kind of things. So it's an interesting business. And I think why it is that way is still because it's a very, it's still, we all are talking about crypto, from our own perspective that we think it's already a very mature asset class, but in essence, it's still a bit of a Wild West.
Yeah, but my assumption was that there was some kind of regulation already providing some stability to the market.
Well, the regulation has always been there because the SEC forbids manipulation. It's all about that, but they're not following up on everything that's happening in the crypto market because they don't know, they don't understand.
It's too much.
It's too much. Yeah,
you're talking about the global regulation.
Yeah, global regulation.
But isn't it so that you have one for the States, you have one for Europe, you have one for Asia?
Yeah.
Or is it one global regulation?
you have regulation that market manipulation, especially in every market,
it's
not allowed. Yeah, it's worldwide.
Right.
Yeah, it's just not allowed by any country. Well, maybe in I don't know.
But in addition, there are specific rules applying for a continent.
Yeah, well, the specifics from a continent worldwide, I don't exactly know, but I know that, generally speaking, if you would search it up, market manipulation is completely also where, for example, Elon Musk was accused by talking about Doge and all those kind of things. Yeah, he also got sort of accused by the SEC for market manipulation. Brings me also to the question, when is Trump going to be accused? But that's most likely not gonna happen.
It's a department now, so it's all good. It's all good.
Now we can talk about it. Yeah.
Thanks for all the mix up in definitions, which I think is very it's good to have.
Yeah, I think for a lot of viewers and listeners, it clarifies the difference between smart money and market makers. And sometimes it annoys me when I hear people speak about market makers and market making and this and that. And I kind of know you have no clue what you're talking about because there's a massive difference between market makers and the people that actually determine the moves of the market, And that's what most people refer to when they talk about market makers.
Yeah. Yeah, but don't forget that market makers still, as I mentioned, have a very big amount of inventory and capital and everything. So they are
definitely one of the bigger players. They are
definitely the parties that can influence the market. Let's put it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. They're capable, but if they really do it, that's a second thing. But anyway, we all the dirtiness, we paint a picture there of people, retail getting screwed over, the sector gets a bad name, people lose trust in it, and that's where you basically on one given day stood up and said, "We're going to reform this."
Yeah, actually, well said. I think it was not one day, but it was more like a process. We as we discussed in the first episode that we had, we have of course an algorithmic, so to say, software company that's building algorithms and advanced technology to predict prices or make automatic trading. And what's really interesting there is that we did that proprietary, so for ourselves and for the funds that we run. And that actually brought us to the point where we thought, hey, we see a lot of projects actually in need of market making because we heard a lot around us about it and we saw it's a good business, it's flourishing. So we thought, why not explore it? So we spoke to a lot of projects, and actually what really painted the picture was that all those projects, a lot of projects told us I got screwed over by my market maker, or the deals that were made, the deal that was made was not very fair. I did not get any transparency. They're not following up on what they said they were going to do in terms of the liquidity they provide. And then we were like, there's actually a massive problem because they are service providers. They need to do that for the projects because the projects needed to stay on the exchanges. They don't do it. No one does it. The projects and the people who invested in the projects get screwed over. So, that's the thought process, how it went.
And with projects, you refer to Web3 startups.
Yeah, exactly.
Last time we had Nuclei here.
For example, they
that's
could
one
be
of
a
those,
market maker for Nuclei when they go to a centralized exchange.
Yeah.
In order to provide liquidity so that if people want to buy Nuclei, they can use the market maker to fill their buy order. Or if they want to sell it, make sure that they sell their token at the best possible price.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I saw that you also have Reform DAO have a podcast, and you talk about your companies there. Blood Loop, Hello Labs. If I'm are
Yeah,
these,
that's right.
yeah?
Yeah, so they are portfolio companies or portfolio projects that we do the market making for. And we always try to highlight the projects that we do the market making for, because we also want to give them some audience and, give them some visibility, and also be transparent about, which projects are we helping or are we doing the market making for. So yeah,
As part of the transparency.
as part of the transparency as
Right.
well, and the awareness that we want to give to the projects.
Yeah.
And why does this need to be in a DAO structure?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Why we did that was mainly because we wanted to find the core of the problem. So the core of the problem of the, bad deals and like the bad performance of the market makers to not fulfill up on their promises is all coming from one core problem, and that's actually the shareholders in a company. Because the shareholders in a company want to make as much money as possible, because I will put, for example, 1 million on the table, and I want as a shareholder that million to be 100 million. And therefore I'm not, I'm not thinking about the projects that I'm doing the market making for, because I just think like, I need to make money for myself, and the projects I do provide a service, but if I cannot fulfill it or I don't want to fulfill it, I'm not going to do it because it costs me money. Hence why we actually made it in the form of a DAO, whereby then the ownership and the value of everything that's created out of the projects actually flows to the DAO treasury, which we're using to keep providing liquidity to those projects, but also to other projects or tokens, coins on the market. And in this way, creating a more liquid environment for everyone, whereby all value stays in the DAO that's owned by the token holders.
By the community, basically.
By the community, basically, yeah.
Okay, but you as contributor or co-founder or as person, do you earn money? Of you, so a certain salary, but are you earning good money, or why do you do this?
It's actually really funny because in Reform, I've actually never earned, let's say, $1. And it's really because, it's all comes from, I think it's more of an entrepreneurial, mindset. We thought like, okay, we invest in it and we want to bring a change in the market without, subtracting value at first, because we first want to create something that's also sustaining itself. It went a bit out of hand, I have to say. We spent quite a bit of money on it, and it's not at the point where we want it to be yet. But I think it's a journey, and we need to be able to get there, especially with the current infrastructure and the current people around us and the projects that are seeing that this problem is really a thing.
What got out of hand? It's too expensive or too much money?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, it was really actually an like very expensive hobby. Let's put it like that. But for change, sacrifices are needed, and I think that's the case. And I can't complain, because still we have a part of the tokens, of course, that are allocated to the team that in the long term should pay itself out. Should be beneficial. But that's also sort of a I wouldn't say gamble, but more like something that we believe in and that we need to work hard for. But that's
Is Reform unique in its sort?
Something like Reform does not exist. So Reform is the first.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys are generating revenue.
We are generating revenue. Yeah.
Are you guys generating profit?
We're not generating profit yet. So that's what we're working towards to right now. Actually, over the last month, I've been really busy with structuring the whole market making and streamlining the market making workflow and process. And in that process, also hiring more business development people, so that we really, can onboard and get the word out of Reform and onboard more projects and get to that point of profitability, and then really, grow the name, grow the brand, and really, go full force. Let's put it like that. But up until that time, we're going to, build until to that point of profitability. Yeah.
Now we're talking months, or we're talking years.
I'm aiming for 3 months.
3 months.
So
Ambitious.
3 months. Yeah.
You want to enjoy the summer?
No, well, I wish I I could enjoy the summer. No. It's more like, you just need to, grind for what you want, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But I'm going to a little bit skeptical and critical here. not because I am, because I'm looking you in the eye and I think you are genuine in this case. But if I say this to an average Joe in a crypto company, there's that here we have Jess Muntenaar with Reform DAO, and he's actually doing this for the good of the cause. That person probably would say, yeah, somewhere underneath it, like everyone else, there is a hidden revenue stream that we don't see.
No.
Are you really doing this, are you getting out of bed for the good of the space?
Yeah, well, what I'm currently getting out of bed for is really to get Reform to that point of break even. I think that's my main goal currently. So as I mentioned, within the 3 months, it is to really, help the projects and to get something in the space to, be different and to provide some clarity and also understandability for projects, because they just don't understand what market making is. And that's what I just explained to you guys one case that I'm also getting a bit frustrated that we, for example, don't win a deal because we do not have the name yet, and other market makers do, while we know that they are not providing a solid service. And I know that we are, guiding them, explaining them how market making works, making a strategy with them, if it's going to go good or bad. We explain them what they can expect, and yeah, that's what it is. And I think that's what needs to be done, and that's also what I'm very passionate about. And yeah, if that's going to change the space and make a very big difference, I think so. Yeah.
And when there's change, also other people are not so happy with you. I can imagine that if you change something, that the other market makers say, "Whoa, guy, we want to keep this because this is a revenue model."
Yeah.
Are you creating enemies in the space as well?
So far, not. But I think that's also because we've not grown to a super substantial market maker yet, and I think that's could be a thing whenever that's going to be the case. But yeah, we're more than ready for that, and I think we also have some tools in mind that we can bring to the market, which brings transparency, and where we as a market maker can comply on, and that we can also say other market makers can also use this software.
Such as what kind of tools?
Yeah, it's for example, we don't have it yet, but it's like an idea that we have. It's like a software that actually showcases how much depth you're providing, or the spread, and like the volumes and those kind of things. So to showcase what is the market maker really doing, and showcasing that to every project, or even to like everyone in the crypto space. And that's it's not something that every market maker would want to comply on. But if we are the ones starting with that, and then we say any market maker can use this for free, for example, then at one point people are going to say, yeah, why don't you use that free software to showcase us that you're doing what you're promising?
And can use it, or they should use it? Because
Well, that's a little bit the thing. You're actually almost obliging them to use it, because
right.
Otherwise, there's something to hide, of course.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's the point. Yeah.
Lack of transparency for the other guys.
You can dare Wintermute on Twitter to start using your software.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, this is it's still in the ideation process. But yeah, as I said, it's different steps. We need to get to that stage in the coming 3 months for like break even and profitability, and whenever that point has been crossed, then we can really, start doing a lot of things on the branding side, but also technology side, to really get that Reform DAO spirit into other market makers as well.
And let's say in 5 years, what would be the project that you were, crazy proud of other milestones? How do you view that?
Well, the project that I'm crazily proud of, I do not know yet, because I hope that we will get some very big projects on board, of course. But we'll have to see about that. But we're really building towards becoming the biggest market maker in the space. And I think, with the current structure that we have, with the changes that we want to make, that's also really possible.
But then we're talking about these names like Yip just mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
The DWF Labs, Wintermute, what do you call them all? Jane Street, I think that these.
Yeah.
You want to be,
that's
up there.
That's where we want to be. But then it's going to be in a different format.
You're in the Champions League, but then playing by the fair rules, so to speak.
Yeah, well, so to say, yeah.
It's ambitious.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's not. I speak about it with Nick, one of the other core contributors, Reform, quite often. Like, we talk about the fact that what do we need? Like, what do we need? He says, man, I have a house, I have a car, I'm happy with like 10K a month. That's it. But the thing is, like, really what driving all those market makers in the end is pure greed. It's like they want to have more and more and more, have more influence, more power, more all those kind of things. And that's a common thing in the world, right? But yeah, we talk about it and we say like, yeah, maybe at that point, I don't know, I'm completely changed and I'm crazy and I don't know. But from my moral standpoint and like for my personality, I don't expect so. So I think that's a major difference in like you can provide something that's, generating cash and generating money, but still a very solid business and also solid service. And then just keep on growing that. Or you can go, the other way while you're growing this, that you think, oh, I have so much money. I'm going to do a lot of things that are maybe not the right way.
I got stuck in the Champions League. So
You have to explain this.
Yeah.
In what way?
yeah, that's how my brain works sometimes. In the beginning, I was thinking I was in a bad movie called Star Wars because we're talking about dark side and whatever. I got stuck in the Champions League. The teams are playing, but are you a team in the Champions League or are you the referee?
I think for now we're a team. But I think with the software that I just said, and those kind of
that's
things, you can really become referee.
Yeah.
So could be.
The people listening to this podcast, how can they contribute, or what can they do to get you there?
So for Reform, I think spreading the word, like explaining, getting to know what market making is, join our community and, send questions, what you are wondering or what you don't understand about market making. We'll happily explain you. And then also, get to know projects who are maybe facing difficulties or who you see are struggling with their, market, maintaining their price, a lot of volatility.
Maybe a need for a market maker.
Exactly, and bring them to us. Yeah, then we can have the conversation with them. We explain them everything, and we can get them up in the saddle and help them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I love to do that, and even more so, I feel like that you are fighting for some justice in this space. And when we were preparing for this podcast, we felt we needed a metaphor for that, because I need that in my brain, sort of how that sticks. And we found one, and for the Gen Z guys, it's actually quite a popular series that was on the television. We've got a little movie clip for you that how we perceive you in this space. And I'm very curious to see whether you agree with that or not.
Okay, well, let's bring it up.
If you have a liquidity problem that no one else can solve, and you want to stand up to market-making misdoings, you can turn to Reform DAO.
Yeah, so yep, this is the A-Team. This is from the 80s, indeed. Although there's a remake as well, eh?
Yeah, a very bad one. But
I'll
there
probably
was a
watch the
movie.
remake instead of the Boomer.
Jessica
edition.
Biel is in the remake. Okay, that's another chapter. But it's a great series, and these were the mercenaries that you could hire to fight for the good cause. This is how we see you in the space. Do you agree a little bit with that?
Well, I find it an honor to be seen like this.
Because there's another one that I wanted to touch upon. The Luigi trading bot. Luigi is the way for retail investors to participate in algorithmic trading. This seems to me like making money while we sleep. And obviously it's too good to be true. Can you clarify what Luigi is?
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. Well, you actually said it quite right. We have Reform DAO on the side of actually business to business. So that's helping projects in the market, which eventually also helps people. But then on the other side is Luigi, and Luigi is providing infrastructure software that actually people can use to trade on the on-chain market, so on like decentralized exchanges,
right?
Automatically. So we have, for example, the grid feature is also something that we use in our market making. We include it in the overall strategy, but that's, for example, you can put specific metrics in, and then it automatically trades based on those metrics constantly. So you can make, tens, 20, hundreds, thousands of trades without actually touching it whenever it maintains a specific range. And it just keeps going up and down in that specific range. The grid trading is really a feature that's, more relevant for sort of, related to market making.
Me as a retail person, is it for me, or is it more for developers?
It is for retail people, because you just have to have Telegram, and you can, let's say, buy, sell, and do all other features on the on-chain market.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's like on decentralized exchanges. And
Yeah, we've been there. We lost a lot of money. I don't need to do
Quite a lot of fun.
Yeah,
No, it
well,
wasn't fun. No.
It could be a Wild West, but hence why there is a lot of volatility. So on the on-chain market, there's not a whole lot of liquidity, so that means that prices can shoot up and down quite fast.
Yeah.
Hence why the grid bot, for example, you determine a top range and a bottom range, and between that range, it's going to put a lot of levels. And it's going to trade between all those levels, constantly making a realized profit of the buy, sell, buy cycles. So you end up with every time a little bit more Solana by it trading within a range. And you don't even have to, after you set up the range,
You have
turn it on.
you have to put up the parameters of the range. You had someone in a group as well experimenting with this.
Yeah, it's actually very similar. It was a while back when Bybit was still allowing gridbot trading. And you basically set a range where you think, for example, Bitcoin is going to trade inside of for period. And then when price moves towards the upside of the range, it fills sell orders and it sells the buy orders that it accumulated at the bottom of the range. When it moves down, it starts selling those sell orders for profit again, and it starts reaccumulating buy orders at the bottom of the range.
Oh.
And as long as it trades inside of that range, then you generate profit. And with Luigi, if I understand correctly, for example, let's say you have 100 Solana, but you think Solana is going to trade inside of a range the coming months, but you kind of know that you're going to hold Solana for a while, but you want to generate more Solana, more profit without the price going towards new all-time highs, for example. And you set that range, you set the grid, and then you use that Solana to actually generate more Solana, if I'm correct, more profit, while the price is just moving sideways inside of that range. And that sideways range can also, for example, be the bottom of the range $80 for Solana, and then the top of the range $180 for Solana.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Don't need to be in like a $10 range, for example, if we take Solana as an example, because it's like the most used coin on chain. In that way, even though Solana might move inside of a range for the coming years, for example, and not reach your final take profit target of $1,000, by using this grid bot and simply setting the top of the range at $200 and the bottom of the range at whatever, $50, $20, as long as it's inside of the range, it's going to generate profits, it's going to generate Solana. Either it's going to generate Solana or it's going to generate profits, and then you can buy more Solana. So you accumulate more Solana until it pumps towards the take profit target. And then by using that grid bot, instead of having 100 Solana that you're going to sell at $1,000,
Yeah, right.
you have 150 Solana maybe, if it takes a few years. You see what I'm pointing at?
You increase your position.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's actually true. And I think Luigi bot is indeed focused at generating more Solana for now, because it's only available on the Solana chain. But then really focused at smaller cap tokens, because they are so volatile. Like, okay, over the last few weeks, Solana has also been very volatile. But generally speaking, like those smaller tokens in the Solana chain are very volatile. And that means that it can have, jumps and dumps in a day of like 10, 20%, and then all the like 100 times, just saying something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And that will generate, that's why I think it's on-chain, it's so valuable, because it's so volatile.
But obviously it would be too simple to basically money print. So there's obstacles, there's hurdles.
That was my question. Where's the cash?
I knew you were going to ask that question again, so I'm going to ask it for you this time. But there is obviously a lot of obstacles that come with it. It's maybe not that user-friendly to set it up. Like, what are the steps to set it up? How are you going to determine the range? Is the bottom of the range for Solana $80? Is it $60? Is it $50? Whatever. Obviously, you don't want to use projects that can, rock. No rock pools, please, because then you still lose all your fucking money. So there's a lot of obstacles and hurdles that come with it. It's not as simple as we make it sound now. We have talked about it a few weeks ago, so I know what Luigi is. Because now it looks like I am some sort of
very
magician.
Always making money.
Let's be honest, Jip. Come on.
I've been using Luigi for months now. No, I'm not actually.
No, but you are using it.
No, I'm not using it. I don't know why, but I'm just lazy.
No, you can get lazy from using it.
Yeah. Is there like a... I'm honestly curious. Is there like a way that you can copy trade someone? So let's say, for example, you're going to use Luigi, and I trust you that you set the right values, that you pick the right projects, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to do it myself because I am lazy. That's just the way I am.
Yeah.
Not really lazy, but you know what I mean. Smart lazy. So I want to copy you. Is that possible? Because I
Yeah.
don't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a feature. It's not in yet.
We're
but
all going to.
Let's invest. Let's invest like an amount with
Yeah,
the unpackers,
Exactly.
and then
Put in some pressure on Jess.
no. We can copy trade it. Like we don't. At least I can invest it on behalf of the unpackers. I'll invest a certain amount of money. Let's agree on. I don't know what's the price of Solana right now.
If you're paying,
In Europe?
If you are
I'm
And what the price
paying-
of Solana is?
Yeah, what's the price?
108 or something like today?
$108. Okay,
I really don't know.
let's do 10 Solana.
Yeah.
I'm gonna invest it on behalf of the unpackers, and then I'm gonna copy trade you with using Luigi. I'll document it a little bit on the unpackers Twitter account as well.
Sure. Yeah.
So see how it goes once a month. See if we generate any volume, or if my fucking 10 Solana is going to shit. And then I don't know. We documented it a little bit. I'm honestly curious to see how
Yeah.
effective a bot like that can be.
Yeah.
I like to take a bit of a gamble. So honestly, if it goes away, I really don't care.
Yeah.
And then the next time we sit here and we talk about Reform in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, hopefully Reform is one of the top market makers, and we'll see what happened to the 10 Solana. We take back this
Would be nice.
little clip
Yeah.
from this episode, and
Yeah.
we see what the 10 Solana is worth
Yeah.
Yeah.
at that point in time.
So-
Let's do it.
That's very nice. Thanks. Yep.
Yeah. Free money for Ilko, so obviously that's
It's
very
always
nice.
the-
Yeah,
See the
I can
dollar
imagine
signs?
Ilko.
Yeah. See the dollar sign?
Yeah, I can imagine.
No. So in the previous podcast, we took out Average Joe. As mentioned, could Average Joe participate in whatever? Luigi bot doesn't sound like you just kind of mentioned. For the average Joe, you have to have certain knowledge to participate in the Telegram group.
Yeah,
Right?
It's a tool made for people that have some understanding in on-chain trading.
Experienced
Um,
traders?
experienced, I would not say, but I would say you have to understand how it works.
Right.
What we're actually implementing in it as well is like an AI element that can also give you a proposal on how to turn on the grid. So it actually spots like the boundaries, and then it can actually you can put in a smart contract, and it
Yeah.
actually spots the boundaries, and it says like, hey, you can best deploy the algorithm, the grid like this. So that's kind of features we are going to integrate to make it more easy for people and to actually do something that makes sense. But yeah, still it's something that
It's always risky, no financial
Yeah,
advice,
that's for
whatever.
sure, yeah.
But you can mitigate the risk somewhat.
I think it's
Thinking-
more for on the investment side, pretty interesting as well, right?
Yeah, I think if you trade, then of course you have you can also put on the stop loss
Mhm.
for the grid,
Yeah.
so that you say, hey, I want under this level, I want to just cut it all. That's also possible. I think it's more, what kind of tool can I explain it? It's more like making it easy for people to step in and have a better, so to say, feeling when you buy something, because
Basically, a dollar cost averaging
it's
in
dollar
the
cost
most efficient
average.
way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, dollar cost average.
Because
Actually.
for example, I was talking with Kane, one of the guests that we have had on the episode as well. We were talking about stocks.
Mhm.
And he was like, okay, we had a big crash a few days ago with the tariffs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We're obviously recording this slightly earlier. And he was like, okay, I'm going to deploy some now, and I'm going to save some, and I'm just going to buy every single day at this time. I was like, why this specific time? Because he was like, I'm not going to be able to time the bottom. I'm not going to be able to know if the price is going to go down more, or if we bounce here, maybe we bounce
Mhm.
today and then we go down again tomorrow. So I'm just going to buy at the exact same time. But if you use, for example, a grid and the price is going to move sideways for a long period of time with some dips here and there, then basically you're letting the bot do the DCA work for you
Yeah, sure.
without you having to worry about being on time to press the buy button or missing out on the bottom in general, and or you want to buy as much as possible, so you don't want to miss out, like invest half of your reserved cash and then the price still bouncing and you
Sure.
didn't get the opportunity to invest all of your spare USDT, for example. Those are also
Yeah,
makes total
Makes
sense.
sense. Yeah.
Then I would like to go to something else, which is that we ask in this new season our guests to take an object with them, which holds significance for them. And we also asked you the same. We don't know it yet, so please surprise us. What did you bring and why?
I initially wanted to bring a rock.
Okay.
Because, maybe a bit cliche, but the rock should, showcase resilience, especially in, markets that are as turbulent as the crypto market. One time you feel like Superman, and the other time you feel like, shitman. So yeah, that's, I think, the first thing that came up to me that I thought, well, that should showcase something that's relevant also to the market. But I actually decided to
forgot the rock.
Something, yeah. What I forgot the
You forgot the rock, so now he's going to showcase his ring for the audience instead.
The one that I always wear. Yeah. No, but I'm always wearing a specific ring, and it's actually a golden ring, and it's the logo that's on it is from Strongblock. It was a protocol in 2021 that had like a super big Ponzi scheme, and it was just like we were very early, and we just thought like it's a very good point to get in right now. We built a lot of nodes. We sat until late in the night or whole night to actually build those nodes by like computer code, computer language. And I never did it before, but Nick told me, and we were there together, like grinding. And we were doing that, and eventually it turned out to be a super good decision. We've actually, the price went first from $300 to like $16 or something. And that was actually the moment around $30 that we thought, wow, now it's really a bargain. So we bought a shitload of tokens, and we actually, built those nodes already before. And from that point on, a lot of people started to compound. So it was really, people were, building nodes with the Strongblock tokens. And that meant that a lot of deflation was happening. And that meant that the price was going to go up because there was a lot less demand. Or a lot less, demand, Or a lot more demand, but a lot less supply, sorry. So at that point, price started to go up, and we started to accumulate passive income from the nodes that actually generated an X amount of strong tokens per day.
The dream again,
The dream, exactly. But we knew that the dream was not going to persist forever. But anyway, for the time being, it was like a very fun time because, the price went seriously from $16 to $1,300. And in the meantime, we every time got our like our strong block from the nodes that we've built and compounded. And hence why I brought the ring. It showcases that there's always an opportunity, there's always a chance, there's always, you can always make money if it's in something like that or in other things around you. So whenever things are going bad on my side, on my portfolio, on the company, on the DAO, I just look at my ring and I think like,
it's the only ring you wear, so it must mean that you made a shit ton of money.
There's always opportunity.
All that money is now in Reform, so...
Exactly. You guessed it right.
Please, guys.
God damn it. Oh, it's a good cause.
They're crazy. Those are the crazy stories you can only hear in crypto.
Yeah.
I do think it actually does represent that. Like, it's also something that I've noticed over the past 5 years, being in crypto, but being in the financial industry just in general. There is so many opportunities if you get to know the right people, if you work hard every single day, if you put in the energy, put in the time, and there's just opportunities around every single damn corner. It's actually crazy. This is one of those opportunities, but it's just crazy.
Great ring, great story.
I expected something completely different. I think from your grandpa or whatever. I thought like it was going to be an emotional story, but
this was my first fight.
Opportunities you also spot in HODL, of course, and I want to touch base there as well. I did not actually ask you to come up with a new investment tip, but last time you gave a nice one. Do you have a new maple syrup finance tip for us?
I think the main thing that I want to say about it is that I'm currently really looking at projects that found product market fit. So they have users that use their product because they really like the product, and not they use the product because they get a huge airdrop or they get a huge incentive. So for example, I don't know if we discussed this one last time as well, but it's called CowSwap. That one is actually found perfect product market fit. It is a decentralized exchange aggregator with a very interesting structure around it. I will save the details. But they're making a shitload of revenue, having a shitload of users. Yeah. And also, quite funny. But the
You guys are the
Or-
market maker.
no, we're not a
Huh.
market maker.
Oh, that was
Um,
crazy.
That's yet to
the
come.
World Liberty Forum from
Uh-huh.
Trump is
Yeah.
actually also trading through CowSwap on chain. So it's quite funny to see that even those parties know from CowSwap, and it is giving best price execution for on chain trading. And I think that's why CowSwap is still a very interesting protocol. Because they found product market fit, generating revenue, and
Yesterday you posted something on Twitter that the TA game is changing. Those who didn't read it, how is the TA game changing nowadays?
Well, I think mainly because it's unpredictable. Especially, maybe it's not changing forever, but it's mainly changing at this moment because Trump is, of course, saying one thing, and then the other week he's saying another thing, and then another week he's saying another thing, and that means that the market is just very turbulent. It goes everywhere.
So the ETFs not changing their money into other coins, that kind of stuff as well.
Also, it's also a part of it. So people buying Bitcoin through the ETFs, that's not money that's going to then flow into altcoins or something that happened before.
Not going to Luigi.
No, not going to Luigi.
How do you guys manage that with HODL? So to the people that once again don't know, HODL is one of the things that you're working on. It's a big investment fund in Europe. How do you guys manage the funds? How did you guys perform over the past few months? Obviously, for a lot of people, it was quite unexpected, the downturn that we saw on the markets, especially for altcoins. They went completely wrecked. Most of them. Like, how do you guys manage that? Did you guys end up taking a big hit on the funds, or I'm just curious about that?
Yeah, good question. For the funds, we actually took quite a big hit. So that was also a hard time for the company behind it, the management company, but also, of course, for all the clients that were with us who had a lot of questions. Understandable. But I think, after we always see that after a big drop, crypto has always been the same. It has been like, it drops, everyone thinks depression, it's going to go to zero. And then, the sun comes through and it's going to go very well again. And we still believe that's going to happen. I do think that with the current, the things that happened, we had to really consider also making a shift to even become more algorithmically driven. That's something that's really, important for us to build more resilience and also less volatility for our clients, because that volatility creates a lot of fear for people, especially if it's downward volatility that's currently happening. People, especially if they're trusting you with their money, they're just not going to be happy, which is logical. When our strategy is being a long only fund and being in Bitcoin, but also in altcoins, you just get demolished at the point that, the market is going to tank like this. So we are not only considering, but also really bringing changes in the fact that we're not only going to trade on the positive momentum of the market, but also more on the negative momentum of the market, to leverage on more on shorting, and not with leverage, but do shorting and have also those kind of things in place so that you're not cycle dependent anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
So long only, you were only referring to literally long only investing.
Exactly, spot. So you invest in the assets that you fundamentally believe in, like a syrup, for example, and you build up your position for whenever it goes down. DCA, we do it through an exponential DCA, but then still, you can keep DCAing as you like. But when something goes down 50%, 60%, it's building up a position, but it can get quite tough.
Okay, Jess, another format that we have introduced, and you're the second one we're going to ask is the quick question round. The name itself is already self-explanatory. So here, a couple of questions, quick answer, will be good fun.
And the last question?
The last question will be a yes or no question.
Exactly, Bart.
Okay, let's go.
Thanks. Always my wingman. Huh?
Don't worry about it.
So
I think
many
if we would go to a bar together, I know you're married, but I think we would do really well, man.
Well, okay. No. Let's stop it here.
Yes,
we'll make the
I forgot your
episodes.
wife is watching. Of course. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Another thing that she does know is that Ilko and I are competing against each other in a trading game. Do you have any tips for me in this case to get out winning?
Yeah, well, I would say hang on to your strategy that you've created up front, of course. Keep monitoring it properly and also executing it properly without, of course, well, the emotional part coming in that we discussed, I think, multiple times already before. That one. And also, don't be afraid. I think that's also an important one that I learned. Don't be afraid to lose.
Suffering.
That's a
from
good
that
one.
Yeah, don't.
Because they're both suffering from that issue. Actually.
Okay. Yeah, don't be afraid to lose because, I'm an example. Won a lot, lost a lot.
Now he's wearing a ring.
Invest a lot.
Yeah, invest a lot. But yeah, you have to believe in what you're doing, and if you think that that's the right thing, then you just need to keep on going.
Good stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was okay for me to hear as well.
Well, I made it winning trade already this week. So
Hey,
Bam.
can't wait for Sunday, Bart.
All right. Next one. What is something you know now, but you wish you knew 5 years ago?
Don't invest in things that you do not fully comprehend, and also keep more focus.
Keep more focus.
Do you have a hero?
Not per se. No.
Luigi.
Luigi, exactly.
Luigi.
No,
Luigi.
not per se. No.
What is a mistake you secretly are grateful to?
Yeah, well, I think the mistakes that I made in the investments that I made, because it's a loss in the end, and loss. It's an investment, so it's not lost yet. But I think all those things that I did and followed gave me a lot of knowledge and a lot of insights and wisdom to not do it again, or at least tell other people about it. And I think that's for me very valuable. So I think that.
Great.
Then the yes or no one. Trading as a retail player in this market, is it worth it?
No.